is truly a renaissance. And no, I'm not talking about the masterpiece that is Beyonce's latest album, even though that itself can be a whole episode. What I am talking about is the current movement that is creators of all art forms coming out of the beautiful continent that is Africa. A couple of years ago, if we asked the children of most African immigrants what their future career looked like, it would be one of the big four: an accountant, an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer. But we, the children, we have realized we can be much more than that. We can also be directors, designers, artists, creative visionaries. Anything we envision our reality can become true. So that's why I always get super excited for the opportunity to highlight some of this generation's up-and-coming talent who derive their creative ambitions from the motherland. And today I am joined by some super talented, super creative, and ambitious guests. So everyone, please help me in welcoming Jordan, Olamide, and Eno. How are y'all doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
Feeling good. Glad to be here.
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing great. So I just want to start this off by asking you all to please introduce yourselves, and also, what is your art form?
Yeah. Where do I even begin? So hey, y'all, I'm Eno. I am a passionate storyteller, go-getter, and I'm also the founder of Niger.com. Niger.com is a space and award-winning brand for Nigerian creatives and professionals in overlooked career fields. We highlight Nigerians from all around the world, whether you live in Nigeria, whether you live in America, London, Amsterdam, you name it. We feature a variety of Nigerian creatives, and so you included. And also we've had various guest speakers, including Olympian Erica Agumike, Olamide Aloe, who is the founder of Topicals and also the youngest Black woman to raise around like $10 million of funding ever. We also featured Ali Sholatin, who plays Carlton in the hit show Bel Air, and so much more. We've collaborated with a lot of notable brands, HBO, WhatsApp, and the list continues.
So my name is Olamide Fagbamiye. I'm a current grad student at Columbia University, but outside of that, I'm also the founder of Arun Collections, which essentially is a fashion brand that collaborates Nigerian culture with American streetwear.
My name is Jordan Bettine. I'm a Nigerian-American filmmaker, born in Ohio, raised in Virginia, lived, in Nigeria and Virginia throughout and everything. And I'm a filmmaker, I'm a writer, director, producer, and that's pretty much it.
See, I told y'all, these people are up to some amazing things. And it's also just so inspiring to be able to see such young people taking it into their hands to really preserve the culture through creativity. And that's why I wanted to start off by asking you all, what does it mean to be a curator of the culture? Personally, I feel like when it comes to creativity, it's such a great way to preserve history because you think about it, music is a great way to keep history through what we listen to, and film is a great way to be able to envision what things look like in our past. So for you all, what does it mean to be a curator of culture, and how does it carry throughout all of your specific art forms?
Wow. Woo, we just getting into it. Impactful, being in a space where you can create community and foster this dynamic hub for a multitude of creatives is definitely groundbreaking. So I would say impactful.
I believe by I feel like this is cliche, but just being myself. Like, as you mentioned, a lot of Nigerian children or just African children in general, we had to do this considerable idea of going to four types of careers. Luckily for me, my people didn't actually press me to do that. But growing up, it wasn't always easy just to be, the African child. I think, and I always thank the whole cast, but more so Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther. But because of that film, it transitioned, I think, what it meant to be African in the States, or just African in general. There's more of a pride in the culture. And that's kind of where the brand even originated from. I got inspiration from that. So I think taking those moments and just taking my life experience, I've been able to use fashion as a way to highlight and more so imagine what my life looks like, but through fashion. So, even this piece that I wear on my head, it's just like a trucker hat. But if you look at the essence of the tribal prints on the hat, it's I'm always going to be both, in America, raised in America, but my blood is Nigerian. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Well, I think a curator of culture is someone that is able to like have a vision and execute it. That's the main thing. I think everybody has an idea or has a plan, or some sort of grasp of what would look nice, but the curator is the one that actually complete it and finish it. So and those are the ones that are in the history books, the ones that finished the project, the one that completed the idea. And in my industry specifically, it's the person that finishes the film project, that writes the script, that submits the story, the one that is not afraid of rejection and not afraid of having something that's not too good, but then boom, working on it and creating the next thing. After a while, that vision becomes clearer, that vision becomes more precise, and then the culture is there.
I definitely agree with all of you guys. And again, I feel like being a curator of culture is such a huge honor, because I feel like we sometimes hear that people say history is dying, right? Our culture might be dying through westernization or, through the mixing of a lot of cultures. But through you all and the work that you guys are doing, the preservation is so important. And so I want to ask you guys, how has cultural identity impacted the way you guys show up and create? For me personally, I know with Aqua Productions and It's Just Adiola, like, I am a Nigerian American woman, and my culture is going to show throughout everything that I do, just because it's in my name, it's in the way I carry myself, it's in the food, it's in the way I talk, it's in everything I do. So for you all, how has cultural identity impacted the way you show up?
Oh, these are some good questions. Honestly, my cultural identity is a huge part of me and how I navigate this world. So it is involved in every aspect of my life, personally, professionally. When I am in boardrooms, it's with me. When I am, in my team spaces, it's with me. So it's everywhere.
I think it creates avenues to like always just represent, like we jokingly say this all the time, but Naja know they carry last, but like the overall idea is that it's true. Like we have pride in like what we do. We have pride in like the idea of being Nigerian, even if growing up it wasn't always fun. Like I still have to understand, like, we're all cut different, and understanding like diversity is always a good thing. Like it's okay to be different, and like you should love it. So I think for me, recognizing that and stepping into that has been like one of those motivators. So
for me, I think that's pretty much my entire framework that I want to like have my career be based out of. I want to really highlight my culture through my works, through my writings, through if I want to do stage plays or movies or TV shows or whatever, I want that to be what's most prominent. I think when you look at film, it's a relatively young industry. It's a little bit over 100 years old, and first cameras were made in America and Europe. The first stories, you had the French New Wave, things like that going on. You had the 70s, where you had these artistic people like Spielberg and Scorsese and stuff like that come and make different movies outside of the the industry realm. Then you had the Black Renaissance in the 90s. And then right now you would look at Asian cinemas ahead of things right now, Korea, India. I think in the next 10, 15 years, 20 years, it's going to be Africa. And I'd rather be, the person that is being able to display those stories well and being at the forefront of that versus someone that's like, trying to catch up, So I feel like going head on with our culture, being able to like fully represent and display what, I can only speak on Nigeria for the most part, what my Nigerian history and culture, what my Yoruba, what my Urhobo culture is like, and putting that on the world stage, putting it on screens is only going to help inspire the next, group of people and create a legacy and a long lasting, industry for African cinema, African film, things like that.
I love all of you guys' answers, because it's really it's touching to know that there are people who are truly taking the responsibility of making sure cultural identity comes into all the art they create. And so I mentioned in the intro, we are in a renaissance, right? We're in a renaissance of emerging creators coming out of Africa. I mean, you hear the radio, there's Burna Boy playing, there's Davido, there's Wizkid, there's Thames. People are blowing up. Even the fashion, the looks, and the culture. Africa is just booming in general. So what does it mean to you all to become a part of this renaissance, and how do you hope to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, it's powerful. Honestly, we all knew Africa was powerful in itself, and it's just now people are just now realizing that. But they're a little late to the game. but I'm glad everybody is here now. So it's really surreal to be a part of that wave and be a part of something that's bigger than anything we could have ever imagined.
Finally, we're here. Like this moment should have been in the making. Like it's been in the conversations over like multiple years, but now we're finally in the space where like Black culture across the diaspora is being celebrated, and it's like it's great to see that. Like it shows you an appreciation of what you have, but what other people have as well. And I think overall, it's just like for me, I think how I'm keeping the narrative going is just like understanding collaboration is the wave. Like recognizing I can highlight what I got going on, but I can also highlight what you got going on, and we can always just lift as we climb. I graduated from Morehouse College, so I got a degree in sociology, and in doing that, like I learned this amazing principle by Bethune-Cookman, which is to like essentially, like I said, lift as we climb. So Mary McLeod Cookman, she was like I believe the president of Bethune-Cookman down in Florida. So with that, she always, I guess, kind of raised her community up. And then for me and for Black people, I think that's kind of what we're doing on a general spectrum around the world. Like I'm trying to put you on so you can put other people on. And it's just like that's what we should be doing. So I think for me, that's kind of what my brand is all about. Just sharing that love, sharing that aspirations of like getting to that next level and knowing that you can do it not by yourself, but with others.
No,
I think being a part of the Renaissance, being a part of this like this next generation is something I really have been striving to do from a young age. I think me personally, my household is a very artistic household. My grandma is a painter. My mom used to actually be involved in Nollywood a little bit, right when like in the inception of it. But I want to be able to, continue that legacy. I think that like I take pride in the fact that I have great women ahead of me that were artists in one sense or another. And when I look at what's going on in the future, I think the best way to really display African art is one, being able to tell our stories here as immigrants and Nigerian Americans or Senegalese or Ghanaian Americans, here. And then two, and most importantly, going back home and highlighting those stories, the most important, the most local, the most authentic stories and genuine stories back in Africa. That's the only way to truly get it, because even ourselves, we grew up in America, so there's a little bit of a disconnect. What I would really love to see is, and what I want to strive to do is, hopefully go back every once a year or something and work on a project, help somebody else out there improve on their own project or contribute to it in some way, work with Nigerian artists in Nigeria to build Nigerian art.
Yeah. I love what you said about authentic, like, creating authentic art, Jordan. I think the theme of this season is about authenticity. And I think we can't truly be authentic if we don't go straight to the root, I think as much as you want to use your imagination to create what this history might have looked like or, what this culture could look like in whatever art form you do, going back and actually seeing the people who are actually living, breathing, doing that is what I think is able to create some beautiful art. And so kudos to you and kudos to you all for just making sure that you guys keep the Renaissance going. And this is not just the beginning, or this is not just, a moment. This is going to be the beginning of a movement. So I'm super excited to see all of the work that you guys have coming out. So I mentioned again, it's very common for people of African immigrants to be told that they have 4 career choices, the engineer, the doctor, the lawyer, whatever, is an easy job that, it has a straightforward path. A lot of people are told that just go that straightforward path, do the job that, can be guaranteed. But we know with creativity, sometimes it can be a little tricky. It might take you a little while to get to that, blockbuster film that you're thinking of, or, selling out that fashion show or that fashion line that you had in mind. So do you ever feel the pressure of success? Do you ever feel the pressures of like, man, maybe I should have just listened to them and became that accountant and worked that 9 to 5 and just, had the easy way out? Or do you feel like, the ambition that you guys have right now is enough to keep you going to succeed in this world of creativity?
Oh, most definitely. Especially growing up, like I grew up in Houston. And so although we have a huge cultural representation of Nigerians and Nigerian Americans, you don't really see a lot of Nigerians who are in, creative arts growing up. Now there's a lot, but back then, like high school and middle school, it wasn't something that was like around me. So for me, there was pressure to like be in the, STEM field, and being surrounded by Nigerians who are in STEM fields. It's like, dang, like everybody's doing this and I'm more so on this side. So is it me? Am I doing something wrong? And you have those moments where you second guess yourself. And so, it did start off with a lot of pressure to like conform to, the status quo. And there's nothing wrong with being in STEM fields, by the way. But like it is something in our community where it is emphasized highly. And so in the beginning, there was a lot of pressure. And then as time went on, I'm just like, I'm passionate about, creativity, like things. And when I mean creativity, I'm talking about like, writing, social, PR, that side of creativity. And that's something I want to pursue. So even though there is pressure around me, I have no choice but to take the other route because it's what I'm passionate about. So although there has been this pressure culturally to pursue STEM and traditional, quote unquote, traditional roles, it's something you got to persevere through and persist through, no matter what anybody says.
Um, I do feel that pressure. I think just anybody that's doing creativity or that's doing a business in general, it's like you got to recognize the way to win is also recognize you're gonna lose some days. And I wouldn't even call them losses. They're like lessons learned of just like how to do it better the next time around. So I do think that that's a pressure on me. But I recognize like the idea in being a creative is recognizing to just still have fun in what you're doing, like to enjoy the gift that God has given you and like relaying that to the world or whatever that mission that you've been put on your life to like just display that. So I think for me, the way to alleviate it is always remembering your why. Like, and I think that's within anything, whether that's creativity or any other, field that anybody has to go into, just recognizing like you're doing this for a reason. You're doing this for something that's bigger than yourself. And like when you do that, it helps you to not pressure yourself so much. Cause you got to do it regardless. Like it has to get done. So if you put the effort in, it's gonna get done either way. Do your best and like just let God have the rest. Really.
Honestly, I feel the pressure all the time. I think I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I think not necessarily because I'm fortunate to have been raised in a household where they again wanted me to express my art in a lot of ways. I think which is different from most African immigrants, where they have that pressure to be in business or law or, be a doctor. My mom is very encouraging of my, what I want to do in life. I think at the end of the day, just knowing being an African immigrant, a first generation immigrant, I was the first person in my family born in America. I more so put that pressure on myself just because I think if my family is in America, is in North America, or all throughout the diaspora, which they're in Canada, they're in England, they're in the Philippines randomly. Like I want to be able to build a foundation in this country because it's not necessarily there yet. And that comes with financial stability. That comes with a high paying job. That comes with this and that. And God willing, this industry will, be fruitful and will lead to all those things. But it's easier to be like, oh, I want to set a good foundation for me and my cousins so that when they go to school, my aunts and uncles may not be thinking about maybe a college fund or this and that, but like I can worry about that or I can handle things. And I think a lot of times that pressure can be huge, but at the end of the day, you have to remember we're still relatively young. Things take time. And you have to remember, keep a steady, keep looking at the end goal basically. But and I also think that in this era, we don't have to choose as much. For example, like back in the 70s and 80s, people had to go to film school because that's where you was going to get the access to cameras. Whereas I've had a fairly decent camera for a while now and been able to make some quality work. It may not be like movie level quality, but you get that. So there are ways for people to like in this new era, there are ways for people to have a nice high paying job or a more stable job and still make their craft on the sides. And I think, and eventually make that switch. It doesn't have to be a completely, in one way or another, and finding out what works best for you is the most important thing.
I love what you all said. I think, I feel the pressure too. And the pressure is definitely getting worse sometimes. But I think in general, like just being able to acknowledge that you have a gift and you're able to be the curator of your own family history as well. being an accountant isn't going to do that. You know, when you think about just being able to witness so much change in the world through all of our art forms, we are able to make sure that's preserved. And so I just want to say to you all, like, stay encouraged, because the things that you guys are doing are super, super, super important, not just to, you know, the work that you want to do, but just for the stories that are to be told in the future. So shout out to you all. So my last question is going to be, what is coming up for you all? Like, what do you guys have coming up in store for the world to see?
Y'all gotta stay tuned. I can't give too much. I can't give too much.
So I'm actually working currently on a winter collection. I typically drop like 3 pieces at a time. That's the idea, just, you know, good things come in threes. So as of right now, that's what I'm working on right now. But what I have in stock, of course, is these trucker hats, which I think are really like my favorite piece of the last drop. And you can, you know, find all my details at Orun Collections on Instagram. So ORUN Collections. And then my website is also oruncollections.com. Some other things I'm looking forward to doing soon is actually doing a show. So I'm not gonna give out too many details, but I'm looking to actually collaborate with a local artist in New York. So, you know, if anybody out there is interested, let me know. If y'all even have anybody that y'all know out here, definitely tag me in. But I'm definitely trying to create more spaces for people just to have an experience with my brand and understand more so like the idea of we all got a story to tell. We all got a light within us, and, you know, we got to let everybody see the light either way. So.
Me personally, I've been working on this this TV show, this web series for a while. It's called Yuka Street. And I shot 1 episode already. I shot the pilot episode. I'm planning on shooting 2 more in 2023, and then dropping them all together at one time. So that's kind of my main focus, and then figuring out where things go from there. I want to like make a couple documentaries maybe next year, and, you know, travel and see the world and the diaspora and stuff like that. So yeah, but Euclid Street is the main thing. Really excited for that.
So my last question, okay, it's just Adiola, but it still has to have a little bit of that awkwardness to it, because it is an awkward production. So for all of you, what is an awkward moment that you guys can look back on and you're like, dang, that was quite a moment that I will forever cringe when I think about it. So going around.
Wow. It was more so like it's corporate. So like you know, in life, when you're at these companies that you work at, you have moments. It's several moments where you're sitting in rooms with people who just don't get the vision, or they don't understand your perspective or where you're coming from. And not to say that my perspective is the only important perspective, but like, I'm a young Black woman. You gotta check out my perspective. And so there are moments where like I'm very unapologetically Black, and I will say the things that are transparent, what needs to be said. And so there was this time where I was working at this other company, not my current company, but another company in the past, where I was talking with a group of people, explaining, you know, how to appeal to the Black community. They weren't getting it, and it was a very awkward situation. Not for me though. I said what I said, but it was awkward for them, and so because they didn't get it, and I was the only Black person in the room, so you can only imagine how awkward that was. But hey, you live and you learn. So.
I feel like everybody has awkward moments in life, so it's like I definitely have a lot, but I think one relating to the brand. Basically, I got a homie of mine who I asked to be my model, because she had helped me a lot with my fashion shows I did at school in undergrad, and she said she was down. We planned out her fit and everything. It was day of the shoot, and everybody's, you know, basically late, which happens. But she's like telling me, yeah, I'm on the way, and, you know, she's trying to, you know, get there, and then eventually she just like cancels completely. And the reason why, she said something about her car that morning wasn't working right, and then she mentions She had to go into work and she forgot or something like that. And I'm just like, wow, this is what a moment. What an awkward moment. Like, this is crazy. But this is happening to me right now. But one thing I learned at Morehouse is you just gotta pivot. So knowing I definitely could put my own product on, I had to step in eventually as well. Because one of my homies had to leave for work. And then also I had to get another, female model. So I reached out to one of my homies that was helping do the videography and the pictures that day. And he reached out to what we call his Spellman sister. And she came up, put on a fit, and we made it work. So, definitely learned from that experience of how, like, to do better with securing, like, just certain things. And it's all been a learning experience. Definitely not mad at nobody, but just recognizing, like, I've learned it once, I gotta learn it again. So that's kind of like my awkward moment, I think.
I remember one time I was on this production as an actor, and we were shooting for like an entire day. And at the end of the shoot, we realized we didn't shoot anything. That I still think about that all the time.
Right. Well, y'all, thank you so much for being on the panel. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope for all the future inspiring creatives out there, keep on going because your art is going to be history one day. So thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next episode of Ish Just Adiola. Bye.